I can't stress this enough. And I'm going to share this video one last time because trying to get through to the government in regards to this choice along with decision of theirs, it's like trying to talk through a breezed block wall, if anything. Borrowing financial revenue to actually get Great Britain out of the debt that it's in is nothing more than a recipe for disaster. Think about it. Anyone with common sense would know what I'm talking about, right? Let's say you're in debt with someone. The last thing you're going to do is borrow yet more financial revenue in order to pay off a debt that isn't actually in fact paid off, due to the fact that you've gone from paying off one debt to now being in debt with another person, if that makes any sense. Therefore, the government need to get their priorities straight. And they need to smell the coffee brewing. Because borrowing revenue from other businesses or higher-ups, as you will, is not, and I repeat even, not going to pay off the debt that the UK is in due to the incompetence of our government anyway. It's a harsh reality for many to understand and take into consideration, but it's also the truth. Because if any member of the government had an ounce of common sense, and if they had a conscience, they would know borrowing money to pay off a debt is not actually, in fact, paying off a debt. Rather, it's getting the UK within yet furthermore debt, because you've gone from paying one debt to now being in debt with another business or another person. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. So, to the government, you need to stop. You need to stop, with this nonsense about borrowing with revenue, borrowing money even, to pay off debts. Because I can assure you now, you're not paying off any debts. You're just getting the UK within furthermore debt. Food for thought. We're being governed by a bunch of tools, man. It's like they don't even have a brain cell to rub together to actually wake up and go, oh, well, okay, fair enough. The guy's got a point. And I've also shared ideas that could potentially net the government ridiculous amounts of financial revenue, annually that is, but yet it threatens their way of living, hence why they're not in a hurry to get the idea out there in the open. That idea being legitimate marijuana factories under professional care. Now, think of it this way. If say, I don't know, every location had a farm within, the UK borders, that is. And, let's say there was a 50, 60, or even 70 farms, right? And let's say each farmer selling, or better yet, each farmer growing however many tons of marijuana, legitimately that is. You're looking at hundreds of millions, if not billions, annually. Will it get the UK out of debt overnight? No. But it is a cracking start to actually, in fact, pay off the debt. But the government, at the minute, they won't enforce this because, like I said, they want people to remain sick, unhealthy, close to death, and they actually want to manufacture, or better yet, have their pals, or as I'd like to call them, rats, to create drugs that you can get from pharmacists and all of this, right? That aren't actually, in fact, making people better, rather they're contributing to the ill health. Like, they're doing everything within their power to keep people sick. But yet, ironically, if there were cannabis farms spread across the UK borders, or better yet, the UK, country itself, not only would there be a sudden spike within healthy people due to physical illnesses being basically blocked via prescribed cannabis, that is, rather near-death illnesses as well would actually be permanently terminated and done away with. And the amount of money that the government would be making from these farms alone annually is enough to make any multi-billionaire rageful with jealousy. It is what it is. Because like I said, if there was 60... If there was 50, 60, or even 70 farms spread within, the UK, map, that is, you're looking at hundreds of millions, if not billions, annually. Especially if, say, I don't know, the government actually implied a 50% tax cut from any homegrown natural resources without the chemicals, under professional care. Only for then legitimate cannabis to be distributed via the doctors and NHS under a license for those that genuinely have illnesses such as Parkinson's disease, cancer, and only God knows what else. See, this is why the government won't actually go forward with this idea, right? It's due to the fact that there's scientific evidence to back up the fact that cannabis itself has potent healing characteristics about it. In other words, it's also scientifically proven for cannabis to actually aid people with Parkinson's disease. There are videos of people that happen to have Parkinson's disease that happen to try a joint, and they've gone from violently shaking to calm, not shaking at all. So it just goes to show you that cannabis is actually, in fact, a lot more healthier than what people give it credit for. Or better yet, the vast majority of people's perception of a plant that offers medicinal healing properties is only twisted due to the fact that they've been brainwashed through years upon years of propaganda, along with nonsense, and brainwashing attempts by the government. And if also, like I say, if people studied the gospel and read the gospel, they would know that cannabis, if under a license and actually used to prevent any physical illnesses, is used for medicinal purposes, is not actually a crime. And not only that, it's not a sin either. Like people proclaim it to be. Oh, you know, if you smoke cannabis, it's a sin. No, it's not. It's only a sin if you're abusing it, just like anything else in the world. I would advise anyone within the government to actually study more into cannabis and the healing properties that it offers, and also the ideas that I have in mind in regards for the government to actually, in fact, make however many hundreds of millions, if not billions annually, to actually get the UK with our, from within the debt that it's in. I mean, it could potentially take up to 10, 15 or even 20 years if you're earning however many hundreds of millions, or billions for that matter, because according to my knowledge, we're in substantial amounts of debt. I mean, you're talking within just over 3 trillion, I believe it is. Yeah, ridiculous amounts. Therefore, hundreds of millions, hundreds of billions, it's not going to cut it, and it's sure as hell not going to fix the debt, arrears that we're in overnight, like I said, but it's a good start. It's a good way, in fact, for the government to get the foot through the door and actually, do something about the mess that we're in. Rather than, allow their narcissistic ways, along with self-entitlement, to actually, in fact, rule their heads into getting us even furthermore in problems. Because we're already facing a lot of problems, and the last thing people need are for problems to actually, in fact, contribute on top of the problems that we're already having or experiencing, up to the point where it drives a lot of us absolutely shit crazy. So, food for thought. Think about it at least. Reflect on it. And study it more. And for the love of God, stop criminalising a plant that is scientifically studied as well as proven to aid physical illnesses within people. It's actually a cure, come to think of it. And if you know where to look, the evidence is right there, in black and white, for anyone to see. And anyone with a conscience, like I said, would know that there is truth to what I'm saying. It's a wrap.